everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Jolty Horvath, broadcasting live from rainy Vancouver, BC, Canada. We hope you're staying safe this week and continuing to do your part in these interesting times. We have lots to talk about this week, and I'm sure my panelists are eager to get started. So let's meet them. From Seattle, Washington, we have Michael Hudson.
What's up, guys? Seahawks 4-0, going to be 5-0 when we beat your Vikings this Sunday. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll just slowly move past that. From Toronto, Ontario, Canada, we have Zarita Sese.
Hey guys, so this is probably like the last hour that I can say that the Raptors are the reigning champions, so I'm going to savor every moment of it.
Except they're not, but that's okay. From Alexandria, Virginia, EJ Gonzalez.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm rooting for you, Miami, because I do not want the NBA season to be over already. Come on, Jimmy.
And last but not least, joining us for the very first time from the Bay Area, Mark Nabong.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thanks so much for having me. You guys can celebrate all you want for the NBA, but the Warriors come back next year, so
I take off the bat.
We'll talk about that later.
Save it for the show. And again, we are reminding you that though we are passionate about our takes, we are by no means experts, just some friends who love talking about sports. But before we jump into the discussion, we have a quick sports update from Mike that has been circulating the sports world over the past couple of days. Mike, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jolty. Really appreciate it. So the Seattle Storm just won this year's WNBA championship in dominating fashion as they swept the Las Vegas Aces 3-0 this past Tuesday. It was the franchise's fourth WNBA championship. From the get-go, it seemed that the Storm was just the more dynamic team, bringing a whole new brand of team basketball to the game as they set the record for the most team assists in an WNBA Finals game in Game 2 with 33 assists. The Aces were without star point guard and University of Washington Seattle superstar Kelsey Plum, but it didn't seem to make much of a difference as the Storm dominated every facet of the game, winning each game by double digits. The WNBA Finals MVP was Storm power forward Breanna Stewart, who averaged 28 points and 7 rebounds during the 3-game final stretch. She's an amazing story herself because she just ruptured her Achilles last season, or in 2018, and she had a long, grueling rehab process, so she was able to get back into form and become the best player on the team once again. And Sue Bird, the longest tenured Storm player and one of the greatest WNBA players ever to play, recorded a WNBA Finals record 16 assists in the first game of the series. Unfortunately, there won't be a parade of any sorts here in Seattle due to everything that's going on. But this win, and most especially the way they won, really goes to show that the Seattle Storm can definitely be a dynasty in the making. Back to you, Zochi.
Awesome news for Seattle basketball. Thanks, Mike. So today we're going to be talking some NBA and some NFL. But before we get to that, we have to take a quick break. Stay here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Isa ka sa pinakamagaling na singer sa buong Pilipinas. Tumaas ulit ng note without even breathing. So doon ako sabi ko, wow.
Kung kami po makakalaban nyo sa singing contest, ay laglag kami lagi.
Nagulat ako sa'yo, grabe ka.
Ang unang pepwesto sa bagong set ng monthly elimination ay walang iba kundi si...
Let's see!
Paano na kaya? Di sinasadya, di kayang magtapat ng puso ko. Bakit sa dinami-rami ng kaibigan ko? Ikaw pa.
Ito po si Bugoy Drilon at abangan niyo po ako sa Hinig ng Lahi. Ngayong linggo na po yan. 8 p.m. dito lang po sa Net Panipal.
Ibig sa isang kaibigan, di masabi ang nararamdaman. Paano na kaya?
Welcome back, everyone. You are watching EBC Sports International. Thanks for sticking with us. Now, it's a sad day in the sports world as the NBA season could be coming to a close. Game 5 of the NBA Finals is currently underway as we are filming this show. I think we're in halftime, 4-point game, and the Lakers are looking to take the title here tonight. Now, obviously, this game isn't over yet, but in your minds, this is for the panelists, in your minds, is there a clear choice for Finals MVP? And if so, who is it? Mike, start with you.
I'm probably the worst guy to ask this because I don't really care. Just kidding. To answer your question, I would have to – I mean, you have to give it to LeBron. I mean, the storylines, everything, all the dots connected. I mean, he's going to win. I mean, he's year 17, putting up the numbers that he's put up. No player in the history of the game has put up numbers such as his, especially in the finals. But I'm still not losing hope. If the Miami Heat win, Jimmy Buckets, that's going to have to be the MVP in my book.
All right, EJ, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. The series ain't over yet as of right now. So I'm definitely hoping that Jimmy can will that Miami team again to another victory. Especially earlier we were watching, and Anthony Davis looked like he might have injured his Achilles, but he's back on the floor. But to answer the question, who's going to win Finals MVP? Yeah, definitely Jimmy Butler once the Miami Heat wins. But in all seriousness, I actually had Anthony Davis winning MVP as much as he's been, getting hurt on the floor, showing pain almost every time Miami makes a run. But I mean, every time. I mean, he is very injury prone though, so it's kind of hard to believe, right, when he really is injured or not. But I mean, he has been playing amazing. I mean, he's been basically the leading scorer for the LA Lakers, and I was saying if he's going to keep putting up 30 and adding 11 rebounds to his stat sheet, that's why I had Anthony Davis at first. But I kept thinking again and again over in my head, and I think we've been taking LeBron for granted. I mean, this guy, like Mike said, he's year 17 in the league, and it seems like he's still in his prime, man. And he's putting up near triple doubles, averaging near triple double for the finals. And there was one game Anthony Davis didn't perform up to par. That was the game that they lost. But LeBron, whether win or loss, he's been putting up his numbers and carrying the team. The team doesn't run without LeBron. So I agree with Mike. You got to give the MVP to LeBron if the Lakers win.
A big if. I think they're down right now, only by a few points though. Zarita, what are your thoughts?
So for me, nothing new. I think if we're just looking at performance, I think AD should win, especially because he's injury prone, and I'm using quotations because, like EJ said, we don't know if he's actually hurt or not. But I think just performance-wise, I think it should be AD. But storyline, potentially it can go to LeBron, again, with everything that's going on. All this Kobe talk, all this Lakers wearing Mamba jerseys. I think if media or whoever does decide the MVP vote, they'll stick with that storyline, then it's going to be LeBron. But if Miami does win it, it's got to go to Jimmy because of, first of all, his performance. I think it was game 3 that they won. He can carry this team. Even if it's a game 7, it might be one of those, maybe it goes to the non-winning team. But I think if the Lakers win tonight, it will probably go to AD or LeBron.
Come on,
All
Jimmy.
Right, last but not least, for his first take on the show, no pressure at all. Mark, go ahead.
I'm going with Alex Caruso. No, I'm just.
The Caruso show.
No, the Caruso show, absolutely. No, I love watching him play though. But either way, I think it'd be. I'd misspeak if I didn't say LeBron James here. Everything just seems to start with him. Everything seems to end with him. And, Anthony Davis really did make a case for himself. But in the retail world, it's what we call a no-call, no-show, speaking of his Game 3 performance. EJ, I'm sorry. I really don't think the Heat are coming back in this series, especially with the Lakers honoring Kobe's memory during this playoff run. But it's definitely worth mentioning Jimmy Butler has been balling out in this series. He is phenomenal. He just, in the paint, the mid-range, creating for his teammates. This team is so much fun to watch. And I definitely got to give a shout out to Duncan Robinson and particularly Tyler Hero. Just watching them throughout this playoffs, they look like an early South Beach version of kind of the Splash Brothers. And I think Iguodala's even on the record saying that. So the Heats they have something there, and it's going to be exciting to follow their story, and hopefully they kind of keep that team intact.
And sorry, I just want to add, with Miami, they have nothing to lose. They're here as the ultimate dark horse. They're out there having fun. As much as Jimmy says it's a business trip, they essentially have no pressure, and all pressure's on Lakers. So I think even if they do go out and they don't win at all, then their future looks really bright.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Miami just have one more superstar, just somebody that can just create their own shot. Because what I see right now is that, especially with Duncan Robinson and Hero, they pride themselves on just catch and shoot. And so they're pretty easy to guard. All you got to do is just get a couple guys on them to play tight the entire game. So there's not that one player besides Jimmy that can create their shot and make these guys, help on defense. So I would have loved to see them just have one more superstar to just match LA's.
I don't know. I could argue that Bam Adebayo is that superstar. Honestly, he would have gave them those looks in game 1 and 2 where they lost, right? I mean, he's their point center. The ball runs through Bam Adebayo. So Duncan Robinson had a horrible game 1, but I think game 2, it looked like he had his stroke back. And if Bam were there to suck in the D into the paint, those would have been wide open threes for those knockdown shooters.
And just to throw this in there, when you say one more superstar, Mike, could it possibly be Giannis next year?
Well, honestly, for me, I thought Kevin Durant was going to be that guy. I know Miami was recruiting him hard, so that would have been really interesting. But obviously, he wouldn't have played this in this finals because of his injury. But yeah, I mean, Giannis. I mean, I don't think he fits their playing style because he's not that consistent of an outside shooter. I think someone like Kevin Durant would be perfect in their system, just the way they play.
Hey, put KD anywhere.
It doesn't matter, bro.
Put KD anywhere.
Giannis wants to come to your team. He's coming to your team. I don't care about the playing style. Anyway,
but I'm just saying that. I mean, I wouldn't be salvated. What's that word? I wouldn't be so excited to sign him. I mean, I would take KD over him in a heartbeat just because he's more versatile offensively.
Fair enough. So we touched on this a bit last week, but how significant do you guys feel an NBA bubble title, one that could be won tonight, is compared to a normal NBA title? Mark, let's start with you.
Oh yeah, hey, with pleasure. I don't really take anything away from it. The bubble title, it takes away home court advantage, and all you get really is just raw talent of the team. It looks like everyone is shooting better in the bubble. I mean, Bubba Warren was born here because of this, and all you have is really just your mentals, your raw skills, your raw talent. The crowd's not going to pick you up when you're in a shooting slump. You just got to keep shooting your way out of it. And I'm sure, lastly, I'm sure the refs appreciate not getting harassed by the fans too, especially in Golden State, because the fans, they don't hold back.
EJ, what are your thoughts?
Mark took the points that I was going to make. I mean, I think it's actually more difficult to win here in the bubble. I mean, just imagine, this isn't anything that many of us have gone through, right? A pandemic of this magnitude, where a lot of people's livelihood were affected, and these guys being separated from a lot of their moral support from home. So I think, again, and then like Mark said, no home court advantage. There's no fans. I think that's why Denver was able to come back from those 3-1 deficits. It gives everybody a chance. So you really have to depend on your teammates on and off of the floor. And there's no travel, right? There's no travel, but I think it seems like we had games every night. I mean, the breaks between the games were really short during this time. So, and after playing 7-game series like Denver did, I'm pretty sure that took a toll on their body. So, honestly, if the Lakers win tonight, which Mark says that they will, and it's hard to argue when LeBron is playing the way he is. I think it's going to be a big win for whoever wins the title. I'm still rooting for Miami, though.
All right, Zarita, the queen of the asterisk championship. What are your thoughts?
Any sport. Just to go against the grain, I'm going to say it's a little bit easier because your entire world is, I'm not saying that if they were out of the bubble, it wouldn't be like this, but everything is catered for you. Like, you're in a bubble, in hotels, like everything is there. You live, breathe basketball. Again, I'm not saying that that's not what they're doing when it's normal setting, but the biggest thing, like EJ mentioned, was travel. That takes a lot because then, for example, this team, you're going West Coast and East Coast, and the time difference alone could affect play, but here that becomes a nil point. So part of me wants to say it's a little bit easier because, again, everything is so laid out perfectly for you. There's no scheduling issues. There's nothing like that. So I want to say it's a little bit easier. But again, just given the context of 2020 and what this season has been like, that mental toll, I think, outweighs the physical toll. So I don't know. Either way, there's an asterisk for me because it's not the Raptors.
All right. Last but not least, Mike, go ahead.
For me, to be totally honest with you guys, I think it's this championship. I will not put an asterisk next to it, but it is so easy compared to the normal grind of traveling city to city. You have 30,000 fans screaming in your face when you're at the free throw line or shooting a shot. You have the media in close quarters badgering you with questions every single night. It's not done over Zoom or WebEx or what have you. You have so many variables that go into play as far as getting to the championship. And I think a lot of these teams thrive on the crowds. Like the Warriors are a perfect example. I mean, how loud are all those guys at Oracle or at the Chase Center now, and just screaming their heads off, every single game. And I think a lot of these teams thrive on that. Not to say, like what Zarita said, not to say that things would be totally different. But I think a prime example is the Clippers. I think they thrive off their crowd a lot, and I think that really affected them, obviously, which is what I think that's one of the reasons why they lost. But no excuse. But I think as far as this championship, but I think as far as this championship goes, it's easy because you're in close quarters. Nobody's watching. You're basically playing at the YMCA, just having the time of your life with your friends, and just no distractions at all. So I just think it's a lot easier this way.
Unless you're Rondo's family member yelling at the players on the side of the court. Anyway, great stuff, guys. We'll take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because when we get back, our panelists will give their way too early 2021 NBA season predictions. We'll be right back.
Kababayan, naharap na naman po tayo sa mabigat na pagsubok na ito. Ito yung COVID-19.
I hope everyone's okay. I hope everyone's safe.
Nandito po kami para hikayatin pa po kayo na maging matibay.
Mas maging matatag po tayo and just stay positive po sa lahat po ng nangyayari ngayon.
Mga mahal kong kababayan, lampasan po natin, pagtagumpayan po natin ang pagsubok na ito.
Stay strong sa panahon po na to.
Huwag tayong mawawalan ng pag-asa.
At inihikayat din po namin kayo na sana makinig po tayo sa ating gobyerno.
Sumunod muna tayo sa gobyerno dahil yun yung pinakamainam na paraan para hindi na lumagana pa yung virus.
Let's all stay at home.
Spend time with our loved ones, with our families.
At higit po sa lahat, make sure to pray for everyone, pray for everything that is going on right now, especially our frontliners po who are sacrificing their lives to take care of everything.
Higit sa lahat, patuloy tayong lumapit, magtiwala at manalangin sa ating Panginoong Diyos.
Lagi tayong manalangin dahil yung po ang may pinaka-mainam na solusyon sa lahat po ng mga problema natin.
God bless you and your family. Please stay strong and keep our faith.
Tuloy po ang laban.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Zsolti Horvat. Sticking with basketball, this has been a roller coaster end of season for the NBA with all of the delays due to COVID. And now Adam Silver has stated that the next NBA season likely won't start until the new year, pushed back from its usual October start. That being said, I want to hear what our panelists think will happen in the new year. Where will some of the big free agents end up? Who will win the next year's MVP? Who will win the title? So let's hear some way too early 2021 NBA predictions. Zarita, let's start with you. And I know we're going to hear about the Raptors, so let's just get it over with.
Obviously, because I feel like I just watched the last of the Raptors. I'm going to call them Dynasty because Marc Gasol is an unrestricted free agent, Serge Ibaka, Fred VanVleet, who is key for us. So I'm interested mainly to see where those guys go. Apparently, Marc is going to go play in Spain. And there's rumors that Montrezl Harrell is actually interested in playing for the Raptors, which I think he actually fits with the Raptors because our biggest difficulty is rebounding, which obviously Montrezl can do for us. We don't need him for scoring. But I'm really excited to see what Clippers do because I just want them to blow up that team because that was an epic fail, I think. So I'm interested to see what they do with PG, who they even hire as a coach. Other big free agents, I'm just looking at the list here. I'm just focusing on unrestricted. I don't see much. I don't think it's really much is going to happen, but I think what a lot of teams are watching out for is that Giannis, if he signs that extension, then teams will set up to see what they do. Again, Raptors is a big push for Giannis, apparently. I don't know why everyone keeps saying that. It's just that Masai connection. And as for MVP, I'm going to go with Kevin Durant. If he comes back fully healthy, I think he's going to come back with some sort of vengeance on everybody and just prove why he's Kevin Durant. And who knows, maybe Brooklyn's in the finals next season.
How many Twitter accounts does he open in this next
I know, right? He probably rules Brooklyn Twitter, Nets Twitter right now.
All right, Mark, let's hear about the Splash Brothers in Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, you read my mind. I think Steph really taking a back seat these last few years with KD on the team really hurt his dominance, and I think everyone forgot he was the first unanimous MVP ever. And so I'm looking for Steph to come back in that unanimous MVP form. And personally, that was my favorite version of Steph, just pulling up from he walks in the building, he's in range. I honestly don't think that Giannis is going to end up in Golden State. I think that the ownership really like Steph, Dre, and Clay. I don't think they want to break them up. Although the case could be made that maybe Dre has kind of lost his step a little bit. But I think just in trying to keep all of the team together and seeing what they got there, I think, hey, if the Mavs can somehow land Giannis and Porzingis and Doncic and keep those two together, that would be a really scary matchup for anyone. That sounds pretty exciting. As far as the title goes, I kind of started the broadcast off saying this, so hey, I hope everyone's enjoying a Warrior-less NBA, but the Warriors are coming back in the picture. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, watched the Warriors games this year. They were taken off of the national spotlight. And so just watching the bench play, the team's got a lot of depth now. They were a lot of fun to watch, a lot of younger players. And then you put Clay, Dre, and Steph back on the team. And, nobody really watching the Warriors, they don't really know what's been kind of going on. And, oh, hey, you know what? I even forget sometimes. Wiggins is still on the team, and he was playing really well in Kerr's system. So the vacation is over. The champs are back in the gym. So move on over NBA. Enjoy Lakers, Heat, whoever ends up taking this title. Enjoy it. But everything's going back to normal next year.
Heard it here first.
All right, EJ, let's jump over let's jump over to the East Coast and hear about those Wizards, because I'm assuming you're going to talk about them.
You read my mind. Hey, man, you got a crystal ball over there or something? Man, you know what we're about to talk about. Yes, the Washington Wizards, they are going to make some noise in the East. They have been when they were healthy. And guess what? Wall's coming back. Beal's coming back. And we have a new star in Rui Hachimura. This guy, I am a huge fan. The only thing that they're missing really is a big. So I was trying to look at some big free agents. Some free agents right now who could join. Hey, Zarita, we would gladly take Serge over here in the nation's capital, man. I would gladly take Serge over here. I think Paul Millsap is also a free agent. I would love to have him over here. Al Horford, I would love him despite, the backlash he's been getting over there in Philly. He's still in Philly, right? We would gladly take him over here too. Man, we just need a center, and honestly, the Wizards is going to be a dangerous team. However, next season, I would not be surprised Miami comes back to the NBA Finals, especially with the way that they performed this year. I guarantee a lot of free agents are going to be joining Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo over there. I mean, and they got some hot young stars in Duncan and Hero. Who wouldn't want to join them? And again, under Pat Riley's system, under Eric Spoelstra, this is a team that has always been about winning. So I'm pretty sure that they're going to be attracting a lot of free agents over there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis picks them over the Milwaukee Bucks, because let's face it, they were a huge disappointment this year. I was rooting for Milwaukee, and they just let me down. And he might pull a Kevin Durant and join the team that took him out.
Well, listen, Miami's got hot weather, no state tax, great players already. So, I mean, they're definitely going to be attracting some quality players. Now, Mike, we can't really talk about the Seattle Sonics because they don't exist anymore. So I'll just throw it to you and let you talk about whatever you want, I guess.
Yes, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of not having a team. It's like you can just comment on anything you want. So who should I start with? Okay, let's start with the Clippers first. So I think Ty Lue will become the coach. I don't know if you guys heard. Did you hear that Phil Jackson was one of the potential candidates to coach the Clippers?
No, that's got to be one of those really big rumored pages.
My sources told me that he was one of the candidates. But anyways, I think Ty Lue is definitely gonna be heading up that squad. But I'm gonna have to agree with Mark, man. Everybody is falling asleep on the Warriors. I'm telling you, when they're back, they're gonna be back fully healthy. Clay is fully healthy. Steph is fully healthy. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Draymond Green is there, too. And you have Wiseman, who I'm pretty sure they're going to draft. You're going to have Wiggins. I'm sure. I mean, does it really – I mean, they can get us to be on their bench, and they'd probably still make it deep in the but, for me, my predictions for the Western Conference, the top two teams are going to be them and the Nuggets. I don't think the Lakers are going to be as dominant next year. I think Denver really learned a lot from this playoff run. And, again, the Warriors are just – they're going to be the Warriors. As far as the East, I will agree as well. I think Miami's going to make some moves, especially learning from this. I think it's going to be a finals loss, but that they need a lot more depth inside, and I think Giannis would fit in for that, especially to alleviate a lot of the pressure off of Bam. But I think also the Clippers, they need to ship out PG. You need to send him somewhere, anywhere. Doesn't matter to me. But I'm thinking a good trade would probably trying to get him to the Pelicans and get J-Ro Holiday. I think that'd be a really good ad. Or somehow get Chris Paul in there. I heard also from my sources that Chris Paul's looking to go back to the Clippers as well. So that'd be a really good addition to help them out. But yeah, next year, Warriors, man. I'm telling you. Everybody's sleeping up.
One team I forgot about is Phoenix. They were undefeated in the bubble.
Yeah.
I was asking, is this team for real? Like, I'm not convinced yet. I mean, they're a great young team. They play with young talent, but do you guys think they're legit, or was that bubble luck? Because that might be a team that we have to watch out for.
Well, I think they're legit because one, their head coach, Monty Williams, amazing head coach.
Oh, love him, yeah.
And then Warren, I mean, that addition right there is just. Or actually, I'm sorry. He got traded. I'm sorry. He was with,
Indiana this.
I meant to say Booker. Booker is just taking his game to the next level. He's going to be at superstar status. So yeah, I think. But it just sucks that they're in the West, man. It's like that's why I wish that for the playoffs they just did the best 16 teams as opposed to like 8 on the West, 8 on the East, because
you didn't even make the playoffs. So what does it matter?
That's the thing, man. Like they go undefeated in the bubble, right? And then I feel like they should have at least made the playoffs. But again, it's because they're in the West.
Yeah, I'm just saying the West is so deep. It's like it's impossible to make the playoff, even when because I mean you have some teams on the East like the Charlotte Hornets, who's like 500 that make the playoffs. You know, when Phoenix is way more superior than them.
All right, let's jump over to the NFL now, where the positive COVID tests are beginning to increase day after day. The Titans-Bills game scheduled for Sunday has now been moved to Tuesday as the Titans continue to pump out positive tests. And now there's a report that some Titans players held a workout at the team's facility despite it being closed due to a COVID-19 outbreak. So, Mark, let me ask you, if this is true and they did, in fact, hold that workout against the NFL's wishes, who should the NFL or the Titans hold responsible?
Well, I'm gonna forgive the players. They're just doing their job. They want to get better. They want to train. They want to play football. The one that needs to be held accountable here is the NFL themselves. I mean, football is quite literally a contact sport. This was bound to happen. How can you socially distance when you're literally touching another player on every single play? Don't get me wrong. I love that we have football again. It's some sense of normalcy. But bringing football back was completely irresponsible. These players, they're already risking their lives by being on that field. Now you introduce COVID into the mix. The risk is just way too high. There's no bubble. These players can pretty much go wherever they want. At least it seems that way. They have all of these things in place. They're sanitizing, washing their hands. They're doing everything that they can. But at the end of the day, they're not wearing masks when they're playing. They're touching other players. I'm sure they're not sanitizing in between plays. The NFL execs, the owners, and the commissioner, they all need to be held accountable for this. And at the end of the day, I think it was really just a profit over people type of thing.
So the Broncos-Patriots game was also moved to Monday instead of Sunday due to positive COVID tests on the Patriots. And like you said, Mark, they can go anywhere they want, do whatever they want, as long as it's within the city that they play for. So, Mike, let me ask you, is it time for the NFL to impose stricter guidelines for its athletes?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guidelines are pretty strict. I mean, I don't know what happens behind closed doors, obviously. I mean, obviously it's not good. But I think they need to do something where they have to, like, for example, when they go home, they have to stay home. Like, they can't go to grocery stores. I mean, let's be honest, everybody's a millionaire who plays. So, I mean, I think they can hire help to make grocery runs or what have you. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the answer, because I think, but what's curious to me, or what's interesting to me, is that the Titans been flagged twice, the Patriots have been flagged twice, but all the other teams are fine, right? So it's
even the teams they played are fine.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, what's going on behind closed doors? I mean, I think one, they need to do more of it in an in-depth investigation about what's going on, about like what they're doing like after hours, and then two, they have to either, if they have to fine people, they have to do that just to make sure that it doesn't happen.
All right, so we do have to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, though. We're going to continue our NFL discussion right after this.
Last Sunday ay umulan ng feel sa ating TNT stage as on-cue dance company si
secure the victory. Ngayon, we continue the search para sa karapat-dapat na umangkin ng 2 million peso grand prize at ng titulo bilang Tagisan ng Galing's Grand Champion. Abangan sa Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 Dance Edition!
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. We are through week 4 of the NFL season, and there have definitely been some surprises. The Falcons starting 0-4, the Browns starting 3-1. How bad the Cowboy defense is, and how bad the Seahawks struggled with the Dolphins.
Go on.
You know I had to throw that in there. So earlier, the panelists gave their way too early NBA predictions. And I know there's still a lot of football to be played, but let's hear who is playing in and winning the Super Bowl. Zarita, go ahead.
I'm going to stick with what my last prediction was because, to be honest, I only watch Seahawks. So Seahawks against any team. I think I picked Kansas City last time. So I'm going to go Seahawks all the way. I'm sorry, Zolty. I know we don't agree, but that's okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, EJ, you're up.
Hey, man, out of the NFC, I'm going to have to go with the Washington football team, baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, man, we just benched Dwayne Haskins. We just benched him. Finally, because this guy... No, he's been looking like a scrub, man. He's been looking like a scrub.
Exactly. And he's your best quarterback.
Who's your quarterback?
Yeah, well, we need a change. Kyle Allen, he needs to prove himself. But if not, guess who just got upgraded to backup quarterback? Alex Smith. And I was so happy that he's gotten back from his injury because this guy, he was pretty much one of the top quarterbacks in the league when he was healthy, and he was doing great when he was starting for the Washington football team now. But so for real, my real picks though, out of the NFC,
wasn't your real pick?
No, come on, man. It's the NFC least, man. But Green Bay, I'm gonna have to go with Green Bay. Versus Kansas City. So we all know, man, the team is run at the quarterback position. Right now, Russell Wilson, been amazing. Patrick Mahomes, but so has Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people are picking Tom Brady and the Bucs, right? But they're not clicking as quickly as a lot of people assumed. And did you see that game Thursday night? I mean,
lost last night.
What down is it? What down is it? Third? Come on, man. I mean,
early amnesia.
Game on the line. You have a mental lapse. Some guys were predicting that he's heading towards a cliff. This might have been his first step to fall down. I'm just surprised that a quarterback of his stature has a mental lapse like that. Game on the line to lose to what was it, the Bears?
The Bears are 4-1 though. I mean, you got to give it.
Surprisingly, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to go Green Bay though because they've been doing extremely well thus far. They're 4-0 behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers second in total TDs, just 3 touchdowns total behind Russell Wilson. So he's just as hot. 6th in total passing yards. But here's the big numbers: 43. 42, 37, and 30. These are the points that these guys are putting up. They know how to get to the end zone. So I don't think you can bid against Aaron Rodgers, the bad man, and Green Bay. And then Mahomes, reigning Super Bowl champion and MVP. This guy knows how to win. Week 2, down against the LA Chargers. They should have lost that game, and he found a way to win. So, it's not a good sign for opposing teams because this guy, he's just as smart, evasive. He's just as clutch as he was last year. That's why they're going to be my picks to make it to the Super Bowl. But I don't want them to go back-to-back, so I'm going to have to go with discount double check winning the chip this year.
Before we move on to Mark giving his picks, I do want to bring up with the Packers, they won this last week's game. They had so many injuries at wide receiver that their only receiver to catch a pass this season going into that game was Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and they still ended up winning the game. That's how versatile that offense is. They can plug anyone into that offense and make it work. But I don't want it to be the Packers because, as you can see behind me, I'm a Vikings fan. So. Mark, what are your picks?
So yeah, you got to go Chiefs, absolutely. At least from the AFC's perspective, Andy Reid has that team just scoring whenever it wants, just with exceptions to maybe that Chargers game. But just thinking back to that Ravens matchup, a few weeks ago, it looked like they were playing with kids out there. Just Mahomes is just on a completely another level. All the confidence from that Super Bowl and coming back down, and I know I'm a Niners fan, coming back down from as many points as he did with as little time as he had, just gave him all the confidence in the world. I think he believes he's the best quarterback in the league, and it's pretty hard to argue with that. So AFC side, I'm going Chiefs, absolutely. The NFC, I'm a little torn. I think it could potentially come from the NFC East.
No, go ahead.
I think the Seahawks have
it's
more
not the
wins than
Redskins.
the
Don't
whole
worry,
conference combined. So, but yeah, with the NFC, the Seahawks. Russell Wilson has been one of my favorite players to watch ever since he got in the league. And again, I say that as a Niners fan. He's just been so solid, and just watching when he's mic'd up and just so emotional. Like, there's one video I watched, and he's just, I want to win. I just want to win so bad. Like, just seeing the will to just do whatever it takes to win. How could you root against him? But they've been really solid. But the Niners, they've gone through so many injuries these past few weeks, and especially in week 2. I was on the road, and it was every 5 minutes ESPN was saying another Niner tore his ACL, and I'm like, how many of these ACLs are? What is going on? Probably the biggest loss in that week was Bosa, cornerstone of the defensive line. That's really where the Niners defense thrives. The defensive line gets to the quarterback. The corners look good. The linebackers look good. They make the whole defense look good. So losing Solomon Thomas, 2 important pieces to this year's bid, and moving on and going on to just kind of the rest of the season. I think the Niners are actually going to get better because they're going to get healthier as the season progresses. Jimmy Garoppolo, it looked like he's going to be starting on Sunday or this weekend, and the pieces are all coming back together for the Niners. So my pick out of the NFC, I have this feeling it's coming down to another goal line stand. I don't know if it's going to be in San Francisco or where it's going to be, but I got to go a rematch. It's going to be the Chiefs and the Niners. Rematch of last year's Super Bowl, and I think 3rd time's the charm for Shanahan with the Niners taking home the party.
I've never seen Mike smile so hard than listening to a Niners fan talk up Russell Wilson.
Man,
so Mike, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
There's a first time for everything, right? There really is. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for thinking so highly of the Seahawks. I do have to say that this coming Sunday they will be wearing the action green uniforms. So I know Ken hates those, so I'll make sure to let him know as well, so when he watches the game. But yeah, my predictions hasn't changed. My homeboy coming out of AFC. I mean, it's just clear cut. The guy's just absolutely phenomenal. I have them beating the Steelers, actually, AFC Championship. I think Steelers are looking the people are falling asleep on them right now. I mean, 4-0 right now, playing very well. Ben Roethlisberger has had a grueling rehab, but he's back. Seems like he hasn't missed a beat at all. So I have my homeboy going to Super Bowl, then have Seattle beating discount double check. Out of all the NFC teams, Green Bay is the only one that scares me because it seems like Aaron Rodgers just has our number every single time. But I think this year will be the charm where we get over the hump, so to speak. But yeah, I think this year's playoffs is going to be really exciting because I don't really think there's like a clear cut. Like, yeah, the Chiefs are good, but I mean they have their weaknesses as well. I mean every team has like a critical weakness that can make them lose, and obviously it's like a win or go home every single game, so anything can happen. So I think this year especially, it's going to be pretty exciting to watch.
There's one team that you got from the AFC side. Like I think every one of you said the Chiefs. The one team that you guys all left out was the Buffalo Bills, with Josh Allen at quarterback, potential MVP this season. They are also 4-0, and with Brady no longer in the AFC East, they're going to win that thing.
Good point.
And they're playing the Chiefs next week. They play the Seahawks in a few weeks, and then they play the Steelers that you just brought up. They play them later on in the season. They play the 49ers later on in the season. They got a crazy tough schedule.
That's tough.
But if they can come out of that, 12-4, they're gonna go a long way. Especially Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs, which I'm still upset that we traded Stephon.
Yeah,
Diggs.
I think. What's your prediction, Pete?
For me, it all comes down to if the Bills can beat the Chiefs. Chiefs defense is really weak this season. I don't know what happened against the Ravens. They woke up somehow. But the Chiefs defense is really bad this year. So I think the Bills could beat the Chiefs. On the NFC side, it's got to be, if the Seahawks pass defense can get any better, I think they could make it to the at least the NFC Championship game. But I'm going to have to go with EJ and say, and it pains me so much to say this, but I think it's going to be the Packers and the Bills in the Super Bowl, with the Packers taking the win. With Aaron Rodgers only having a couple of years left, and especially with them drafting another quarterback with Jordan Love, he definitely has something to prove, and he's going to come out with everything he has in that 37-year-old body of his, and potentially.
Did you see him flex when he scored a touchdown last Sunday at the camera? He was just like,
no,
like, come on, man.
I'm in a no Packer household, so I don't own anything Packers. I have nothing Packers. There's no Packers on the TV. It's strictly no Packer household.
I don't know if the NFL will kind of let that matchup happen. I mean, just thinking about the Packers and the Bills, it's not
two small markets.
Two small markets. It just doesn't seem like the NFL is going to be okay with that.
But they probably have the two sets of most passionate fans in the league. The Packers especially, they have fans everywhere.
Owners.
The Bills,
they're owners.
Yeah, they're all owners, exactly. The Bills fans are psychos. They literally jump off of their cars at the tailgate and break the table.
Oh yeah, break
that they tailgate on. That's like the tradition at every game. They're psychos. It's crazy. So but the problem is, are there going to be fans, at these events this year?
Right.
We don't know. Anyway, I know we talked about this a bit last week, but any quick MVP predictions for football? Mike, go ahead. We'll start with you, Mike.
Do you even have Mr.
Wilson?
Mr. Wilson.
Okay, Mark. I mostly want to hear what you have to say, Mark.
Yeah. Why? I think I spoke really highly of him already, and I think the obvious answer, I think that most people will probably lean towards, just kind of, Patrick Mahomes. Just watching him play, the joy he plays with, he doesn't look flustered ever. It just seems like he's out there playing with he knows he's better than everyone, and so he's just out there and, oh, you're gonna blitz me? Okay, I'm gonna just toss it over here, and I'm gonna just toss it
Did you
over.
see that underhand pass? Underhand pass for a touchdown.
He's just messing with people at this point.
And I'm sure he wants to avenge himself after Lamar stole it last year.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Well, when you're making 500 million, you know, you're pretty relaxed out there. So
yeah, and I think it's probably required of him at this point with that much money on the contract.
Seriously.
Fair enough. All right, so as we get towards the end of the show, I think everyone knows what time it is. We have our question of the week. You guys ready for this? If you could attend a sporting event with any person, doesn't have to be a sports figure, just any person, living or deceased, who would it be and why? Mike, let's start with you.
You know, I was gonna make this about myself, but I'm gonna make it about my wife because, you know, happy wife, happy life, right?
Tell my husband that, Mike. Tell my husband that.
We have a lot of things in common, but one thing, she loves Aaron Rodgers, so it would have to. We'd probably go to Lambeau Field. I'd probably surprise her. She'd be all happy wearing an Aaron Rodgers jersey. Blah blah blah.
All right, Mark. What about you?
I kind of going back and forth. I think just some people might not like this answer, but Kevin Hart, I think, would just be hilarious to be around.
Oh, yeah.
Just with his celebrity clout and just probably being able to walk wherever he wants, just walking onto the court and just taking the basketball and doing whatever he wants. I think that would just be a ton of fun. And if I could bring other people, I'd definitely bring my wife.
Hey, Kevin Hart almost made it onto the stage at the Super Bowl after Philly won. I mean, you're right about that. That's huge. Zarita, you're up.
For me, I would think it'd be hilarious to watch like Stephen A. Smith watch basketball with him, or Skip Bayless, like Lakers Clippers with that guy would be so entertaining. But to actually learn as I watch a game, I'd love to have box seats with like Doris Burke, Cassidy Hubbard, Kristen Ledlow, like a full women's cast, and I would just soak up everything they have to say.
All right, EJ, you're up.
All great answers, man. But so as a kid, I was a big fan of Dr. J. I think it would be awesome to just, you know, be in his presence. I just think he's super cool. He seems to be super nice, and really gives his 2 cents to anybody who asks. So I think it would be a great time to watch any NBA game with the great Dr. J.
And I think I'll answer this one as well for today. I think sitting courtside at a Knicks game with Spike Lee would be the absolute greatest experience ever. All right, so that is all we have for this week's edition of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in next week. Also, before I go, quick happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadians out there. It's Canadian Thanksgiving on Monday. Now, make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For Eagle News, I'm Zsolti Horvath. We live in interesting times.